It's a long, long way to get down the river. For the Murray in Australia, well, that's 2,000 miles. But sometimes you should stop, be still for a while, and listen.
I've come well downstream to Loch Luna in South Australia. It's a great backwater system, network of channels and billabongs off the main Murray River channel. So worth just slowing down, spending some time just watching and listening. There's a massive old river red gum. It's got to be a couple of 100 years old. It's been sitting there watching life come and go, and floods and droughts come and go along the river for hundreds of years. And I'm down here with my brother David and his mate Trevor, who've spent years paddling up on the Murray and bushwalking all over the country. So it's good company and a chance to explore a new section of the river.
Well, I think it's some of the best paddling, and just little creeks you can ease your way through. You know, got billabongs, bird life, tree
I
life.
would say there's a tiny bit of flow. You can just see it rippling. These backwater sections of the river really are the lifeblood of the river. It's not so much the main channel that drives the health of the river, it's these backwater systems. There was a massive flood down here, not much more than a year ago. You can still see the markings from that flood up on the trees, several metres off the current level, so it must have been an almighty volume of water was coursing through here. Anyway, when these backwaters fill up, that's where most of the fish breeding takes place, and all of the bird life really relies upon these backwaters. If you're quiet and just spend a bit of time, that sort of nature will reveal itself to you. Pelicans will come out, the kingfishers will come and land on their perches where they can see the surface of the water, looking for some prey, and you can just sit back and watch it all. Anyway, let's go for a paddle. And just paddle along quietly and just listen to that great music of the outdoors, the wind going through the trees, birds talking to each other, the insects buzzing. That's one of the great joys of canoeing. Just slowing down, drifting and taking your time and spending some time just watching and listening. It's midday and quite hot here, and you get up away from the river and the surrounding countryside. You don't have to walk far, and you get an absolute lesson in how important the river is to life, this great ribbon of life flowing through this dry country, this red soil, dry dirt. Out there it's just blistering hot. And unfortunately, as much of it would have been mallee scrub and has been cleared, it's full of invasive species and weeds and prickles and thorns. It's a pretty desperate landscape.
There's a need to send water down the river just for health, and the river's all about water. So if they take all the water, and the river's a muddy ditch, and you see dried out channels in New South Wales, there's nothing.
Even in the driest dry, you can look at the main channel and it's full of water.
Well, that's because of the locks. The river, the series of locks, I think there's 15 along the river, and they basically hold the river at constant level.
But as soon as you get back from there,
Yeah.
if there's a drought and water's not been allocated to flood those backwaters,
Yeah, they ain't nothing. Yeah.
they can be dust.
Yeah.
We had this incredible thunderstorm last night. Stinking hot all day. And the temperature and humidity just built and built and built. To be honest, we were pretty wiped out and just lay around in the shade. And then the cumulus clouds started building up and the rumble started across the countryside. Well, as it went dark, this massive big thundercloud built up and up.
Ironic, really. It's the backwaters, those places of quiet seclusion, sleepy crescents and curls of still water, where life really sings along the river. You can hear it if you sit and listen. Sure, language confuses the matter. Anna branches, pools and waterholes. You can take an old Gaelic word for lake and another from Latin. Loch Luna, the moon lake. Or, as our geography teacher taught us all those years ago in that stifling classroom, they're all oxbow lakes, he said with utmost confidence, while I was daydreaming of fishing and swimming somewhere along those banks. Old channels, scoops and hollows, left behind when the river meandered away across its plain, to cut its banks somewhere else for a while. All these names, well, they're interesting enough, but it's billabong, a Wiradjuri word, from the oldest language of them all. Now there's real music in a word like that. The billabong fills in the floods like the big one of '56, when the river was 100 miles wide, and word raced downriver ahead of the disaster. But what can you do? Just watch as the river spills its banks, and they rowed the old boat out into the orchard to pick the last of the fruit. Then, when the water's gone again, the billabong stills itself and hangs on through the drought. Sacred to many, home to bunyips for some, and others might listen at night for the murmurings of an old swagman. He was jolly once, they said, but then he bagged a jumbuck that came down to drink from the last pool of water as the land cracked open under the sun. The swaggy chose the billabong rather than the trooper and the desert plain. But for us, well, we just come to rest a while, to ride out the heat beside the miracle of water, to sit quietly and listen to the song sung by the billabong. My long journey down the rivers taught me many lessons about our relationships with water. It's our most precious resource in Australia, and everyone wants a piece of it. You can buy Murray River water if you've got enough cash. The country's water market is worth somewhere between $4 and $6 billion on any given day. It's hard to get your head around that when you're sitting by the edge of the billabong, watching all of river life go about its daily business. Humans have been irrigating since they cut the first channels to harvest the annual flows of the Nile in ancient Egypt. It's part of who we are. My week on the quiet waters of Loch Luna was a lesson in the true value of river water, and I was left with a sense of hope that we might be getting closer to balancing our need to farm with water with the needs of the billabong.